we're so excited to have him back with him. He was such a great guest. I'm kissing his butt now, but joining us on Skype, Neil Greenberg from the Washington Post. He is the editor and publisher of the he's also the sports statistician with the Washington Post. And it's great to see you again, Neil. Thank you for coming back. You were great the last time. And what you'll like, Troy Renck is working with me today, and he Skypes with us from his house. He always has laundry or his stairway in the back. You always have this active newsroom behind you. I like that. It looks like you're actually doing work there.
It's all green screen CGI, same thing they use in Jurassic Park. I'm at home.
You tell us that the former Denver Nuggets star was the worst MVP in NBA Finals history. Is that what you're trying to say to us? You were pissing all over a guy that was a big star with the Denver Nuggets?
Yeah, it took maybe a couple hours after he was nominated for the Finals MVP that I dashed the hopes of many and got a lot of hate mail as a result of it. But yeah, I mean, statistically, it was the worst performance for an NBA Finals MVP since 1985 when they started tracking most of the boxcar stats.
Why would you say, are you talking about statistically, you talked when you were here before about the new statistics. Is that a fair way of putting it? New analytics.
That's correct.
Is that based on what I call new analytics, or is that just based on an observation of what his scoring average was and rebounds and assists?
Well, it's all that. It's how those traditional statistics like points, rebounds, assists, turnovers contribute to winning. So when you look at when his shots took place and when his rebounds took place and when his turnovers took place, he had the lowest game score, which is an all-in-one number that takes all those factors into account since 1985. And it seems to me that he was given the award more for how he defended LeBron James than his actual contributions on the court, which is funny considering that he beat LeBron James for the MVP by a vote of 7-4.
Neil, had you had a vote, who would you have voted for the MVP? And in the case of Iguodala, what I find interesting, and it's hard as a voter to do this, but the reason he gets open looks, the reason he has spacing on the floor, and he had good, don't get me wrong, he had some huge moments for that team when they needed it, but Steph Curry creates the space. So
Correct.
In some ways, if they're equal, to me, the reason Iggy has stats is because of the space created by Curry.
That's correct. So for me, the MVP of the finals was LeBron James, win or lose. I thought he had a tremendous finals all across the court. I mean, he was just dominating, and I think he looks even better once you take into account the quality of teammates that he had to play with. I mean, He literally carried them on his back. Now, as far as Iggy, you're absolutely right. I mean, they're double teaming Steph Curry. They're having someone on Klay Thompson like a blanket. So that's leaving a lot of different open looks. And if that doesn't happen, who knows what his stats look like. But, the last two NBA finals of the winning team were both responsible for defending LeBron James, and they both won.
I totally agree with you, Neil. And I had a commentary the other day about how it should be LeBron, this before the game, it should be LeBron whether he loses or wins. Right. And I went back and compared, in my world, covering NBA in another lifetime, that I went back and the only person that did win it as a losing player was Jerry West. His numbers were a lot better. Jerry West had a triple-double, but if you look back, LeBron had numbers across the board, new or old analytics, that surpassed Jerry West. And Jerry West was playing against the Boston Celtics. And
right.
So that was the final proof for me. I wonder if you agree.
Yeah, without a doubt. And when you look at the only two triple-doubles in NBA Finals history with 40 points, the other one was Jerry West and, of course, LeBron James. I mean, we were talking about some performances which we haven't seen in quite a long time. And I understand that there's a propensity to have the MVP finals, the finals MVP from the winning team, but you still can't overlook how good LeBron James did. And actually, I'm quite surprised they even won 2 games out of the 6 because the supporting cast for LeBron just wasn't there. I mean, there was the injuries to Kyrie Irving, the injuries to Kevin Love, and the Golden State Warriors knew what was coming. I mean, LeBron James is taking 44% of the possessions for himself. He's accounting for, I think, 70% of every event that happened for the Cleveland Cavaliers. but they still couldn't stop him. So he had a tremendous finals.
My other candidate, you said it should have been Steph Curry. He says that it should have been LeBron James. I think someone who should have gotten a vote was J.R. Smith. And you both are going to laugh at me, but J.R. Smith was the only player in the series that kept both teams in every game.
Right.
If you think about
it. Yeah, the utility, the great equalizer of NBA Finals MVP, right?
Yeah. If you're looking at, that's why, and I would ask both of you, MVP is sort of an outmoded kind of award anyway.
Yeah.
Best player. Well, if you said best player, it's got to be LeBron James. Most valuable player, now you got to start thinking of your own definition of, is Iguodala the most valuable because he came off the bench and became a starter, and he held LeBron to 40 points a game and was a great defensive player. And I'm not giving him enough credit. He made LeBron work for his shots. But should we get rid of MVP? Should the MVP be outlawed in baseball, in all the other sports, and just say
most outstanding player?
Most outstanding player.
Well, hockey actually has two different awards. They have the Hart Trophy, which is given to the most valuable player, and then they have the Ted Lindsay Award, which is given to the most outstanding player. So I think that there is a notable distinction, like you said. I mean, most valuable can mean a lot of different things, and it means different things to different people. That's the 7-4 split. And what actually surprised me most was Steph Curry didn't even get a single vote for MVP. I mean, I thought he was by far the best player on the Golden State Warriors, and for him not to get a single vote at all was a little bit surprising. So without a doubt, yeah, I think either there needs to be a consensus or some type of definition around what the word valuable means, or just call it what it is, as being the most outstanding player.
I think you take it away from the media and you give it to the fans, because they
stop.
know.
Now you're being silly. I've seen it in baseball with Trout and Cabrera when I was still voting for MVP, and Trout was baseball statistically by every measure, every metric, was the most valuable player. But Miguel Cabrera won a Triple Crown, and the historical significance of that overruled with traditional baseball writers the season by Trout. I mean, even though clearly Trout had a better year, but he wasn't deemed most valuable. And I look at the basketball thing with this series, what I heard writers talking about when I'm listening to radio throughout was the fact that it didn't go to a seventh game. Had it gone to a seventh game and Cleveland loses by 4 or 5, do you think LeBron would have won?
That's a good question. I think that it would have taken a pretty big game from LeBron and a bad game from everybody else for a seventh game in order for that to happen. I mean, like you said, I think the media wants to give it to the winner, and there's some reasoning behind that, right? I mean, it's hard to be the most valuable and not be still the winner. So I think intuitively that makes some sense. So no, I don't. I think that if LeBron didn't get it in Game 6. The only way he would have gotten it is if he won Game 7. I don't think losing by 1 point, 4 points, or 20 points in Game 7 would have made much difference.
All of our guests are brought to you by Papa John's, the official sponsor of the Colorado Rockies. The day after every Rockies win, get 50% off your regular menu price online. Order at papajohns.com using the promo code ROCKSWIN in capital letters. We're so excited to have you with us, Neil. I have to ask, the one question I've left out is, who is the worst MVP since '85 before him, before Andre?
That would be Paul Pierce in 2007, 2008. He had a pretty lackluster finals in terms of the overall box score numbers. So it went Iggy, Paul Pierce, Kawhi Leonard in 2014, and believe it or not, Tim Duncan in 2005. Those are your top 4, followed by Tony Parker in 2007. And it's kind of interesting because those 3 of the last 5 are all the San Antonio Spurs, and I would almost say that their low scores are more indicative of their overall team play, because the teams have been so solid, and they all do contribute, that there's really not one shining star among them. So even those I would put a little context behind, but Paul Pierce in 2008 is the one that stands out to me.
Who was the best? Was LeBron the best when he won it?
No, actually, Shaquille O'Neal and Michael Jordan both had some pretty high numbers, but it's hard to find a better NBA Finals player than Michael Jordan. I mean, he was clutch, he was good, and he had the supporting cast with him, but he certainly willed his teams to victory.
Neil Greenberg, sports statistician with the Washington Post. It's great to have you on the show. If you would again give us your Twitter account and your passcode.
Sure, it's N Greenberg on Twitter, and the passcode is Astros123.
Thanks, Neil. I hope you'll come on with us again.
Sure.
You should be
Anytime.
a regular.
Thank
Come
you.
out and visit us. Come sit in a chair out here.
You have an extra seat. I will certainly do that.
Okay. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.